True power supply reviews are difficult to come across on YouTube, and there's a good reason for that. I recommend you stick to sites like Tom's Hardware and JonnyGURU for the fine details. We can't test things like load regulation, hold up time, and ripple levels. The equipment is just too expensive, and I honestly doubt we'd ever realize a true ROI. So simply put, those topics are for the specialists, and I'll happily defer to them. But in this case, there are a few things we can talk about and test. I'd like you to meet the Silverstone Nightjar 450 SFX-L. The NJ450 falls under the SFX-L form factor, which is the awkward middle child between standard ATX and SFX power supplies. It's an interesting size, especially considering it won't fit in many small form factor cases, including one of my favorite, the Fractal Design Node 202. Though to be fair, Silverstone themselves do manufacture many cases for which this PSU would be perfect. You just gotta have one of those on hand. But another issue is that Silverstone doesn't include an SFX to ATX adapter either, so unless you've specifically got a case begging for SFX-L, which I doubt, you'll need to buy an adapter online if you wish to use this PSU in a standard ATX case, which is what most people have on hand. I've linked one down below, by the way, if you're interested, if you want to pair this PSU with something larger than a conventional SFX-L chassis. What you will find in the box is a manual, the unit, modular cable sets, and a power cable. The PSU is fully modular and the cables are slightly shorter than ATX, especially this 8-pin EPS cable. This one will not fit in a traditional ATX chassis. It's way too short, so you can definitely see, how Silverstone sculpted this power supply to fit in their style case, right? A case that supports SFX-L, but not necessarily ATX. This unit, by the way, does come with 4 sets of 8-pin VGA cables, so if you want to run 2 graphics cards that are 2 8-pin cards apiece, then you could power that through this unit, although I doubt the wattage rating would be enough to run a dual graphics card config. So you just have to kind of feel it out, but in most cases it's not going to work. You just have that breathing room if you want like a overkill card that maybe has, I don't know, 3 8-pin connectors, which is very hard to come by, but in most cases you're not going to worry about graphics card power at all with a unit like this. Next on the list is Silverstone's 80+ Platinum rating for this unit. Quite a large feat for such a small unit, especially for one without a fan, which is perhaps the biggest selling point here. The 80+ rating system scales system load with total power draw from the wall, and a Platinum rating signifies a minimum peak efficiency of 92%. This peak occurs somewhere around the 50% load, which in this case is around 225 watts. You're likely to go a bit higher than that in most builds. You'll get around 300 watts or so, but this is still plenty of breathing room for most conventional single CPU, single GPU configurations. Recall that higher ratings yield lower energy losses in the form of heat when power from the wall is rectified and transformed. The only tier higher than Platinum is Titanium, by the way, reserved for the most efficient PSUs on the market. In this case though, the NJ450's rating is more than satisfactory, especially given its load wattage. But perhaps the biggest selling point again of this unit is its fanless design, and according to Silverstone, the unit is capable of maintaining a full load temperature of approximately 40 degrees Celsius while not having a fan. That is impressive. You can imagine how technically difficult that was to achieve. Silverstone uses several grooved heat sinks along the frame of the unit to increase surface area and convection with the air, and even when enclosed in a tight case basement, the temperature remained safely below this level under loads. I feel like this is extra breathing room just to, CYA, right? This is where I expected things to heat up quite a bit past spec, but to my surprise, Silverstone left significant headroom in this 40-degree rating. And I actually took it upon myself to disassemble the unit. I was very pleased to see that they were passively cooling almost every major component in there, from the inductors to the transformer. They were all being passively cooled with thermal pads that were then contacting the shell of the PSU. So they're using the entire frame of the unit to keep the components inside very cool, and that's how they get rid of the necessity of a fan. So very unique engineering here, and I expect we'll see more of this in the future. Only a few power supplies out there claim, the fanless design, and this one here appears to be very well engineered, at least from what I can tell by taking off the top and side panels. It's such a strange feeling. I don't know, listening to a dead silent power supply. This thing makes no noise at all. Remember, this is converting AC to DC. It's splitting up power loads along a single 12-volt rail. It's doing a lot of work, and it is getting quite hot, but the elimination of a fan in here just makes it so, I don't know, alien-like. It's just it's such a big step forward, and I do expect that we'll see more more like this in the future again, but for now, I mean, there are very exclusive lineups that don't feature fans. This is one of them, and the fact that they were able to keep it so small at the same time, right? SFX-L, smaller than traditional ATX, and delete the fan is it's just an impressive feat. I mean, I tried listening for any noise at all. I tried listening for coil whine from the inductors, any rattling in the transformer. It is dead silent, and it doesn't really make sense to even throw up a dB graph because it doesn't compare to anything else with a fan. I mean, this is truly a silent unit. So all of my initial testing has proven this to be a great power supply. Now, long-term reliability is a different story, but you guys know me. If anything does happen, even if it's a fault of my own, I won't hesitate to expose it, though I highly doubt this PSU will have any QC issues based on what I've seen thus far. So a great job, Silverstone, in my book. Now, what you guys think in the comments below, that's a different story, possibly. What power supply are you sporting? Would you consider this for a small form factor build? I want to know in the comments down below. Let's duke it out if we disagree. Totally fine with that. Give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was cool. Dislike it if you feel the complete opposite, or if you hate everything about life. You can click that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more content like this. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.